Hey, Radiation Hazard here. So, today is a little bit of a different video. Today, I'm going to show you how I make my music. Because over the past 2 years, I've always gotten these comments where people would ask me how I make it, how I make the background score to my videos. So, today, I'll give you a very basic summary of what I do and what my process looks like. Now, I use FL Studio, but if you prefer to use a different music software to make your music, some of the things I'll talk about in this video might carry over to other software as well, at least the theory part of it. So, yeah, let's get started. Okay, so first off, if you don't know what FL Studio is or how it works, this is where you make your patterns, this is where you make your arrangements, and this is where you do the mixing, and also where you add the effects. Along the process, I'll be also showing you how these things work if you're completely new to FL Studio. Another note, this software isn't free, you will have to buy it. Alright, so the first thing I do is that I add in a bass line, right? So I will go up here to kick and right click on that. I will replace it with, so all of these have good bass synths, but Toxic Biohazard has one that I've been using for years. Now, another thing to note is that up till ABM5, I've been using only these synths. With Infinite Worlds, I started using loops from Looperman, and with the current projects I'm working on, music projects, I've also started to use more VSTs that I got from the internet, such as Pendulate, Serum, Tyrell, Zebra. Well, that's the trial version. Zebra Let is the free version. Analog Lab, Tunefish, and all of these. So installing these honestly is a hassle, and honestly I don't even know how I got them in. It's just trial and error, and they start to work. But for this video, we'll be using the stock VSTs that come with FL Studio. So in this case, Toxic Biohazard. What I'll do is I'll click on this program window, and I'll click on bass. Now the one I'm looking for is called Narrow. Narrow is a bass line that I've been using in most of my songs. Alright, close all that. Now we'll open up the piano roll where we can compose our bass line. I'll right click on this, piano roll, and this opens the piano roll window. Now, if you have FL Studio and this doesn't look like this, it's because you will have to go into View, and then Key Labels, and then All Notes. By default, it's root notes only, but having all notes is better so you can see which key is which note. Alright, so on the keyboard, if I press the letter Z, or the key Z, C4 lights up. That's the fourth octave. If I press X, it's the D note. If I press C, it's the E note of the fourth octave. So this is as low as you can go on your default keyboard. If you have a MIDI controller, that's even better. Honestly, I've never used one of those. I would like to, but I haven't yet. So okay, before we compose anything, here's what we need to do. And I think this is one of the most important things I can teach you. But again, disclaimer, I'm not a proper musician and I don't know every single thing about music theory. What I do is when I'm about to start composing something, I need to figure out the key or the scale in which I'll be composing my music. So I open up Google and I type in E minor scale notes. So okay, before we proceed any further, you need to know that there are 7 notes in music: A, B, C, D, E, F, and G. Each of those notes have a scale to them. At least this is, at least that's what I think, or that's what's in my mind. Again, I don't know music theory, but this is how I go about it. There's 7 notes, and then there's major scales, and then there's minor scales, similar to how there's major chords and minor chords. Those are for piano and guitar and all that. We're gonna be working with scale because we need to compose stuff. Now you could have either searched for A minor, B minor, C minor, D minor, E minor, F minor, whatever, or you could also search for major scales. But I tend to go with the minor scale because minor chords and scales tend to be more melancholic, sad, or, dark and gritty. Major scales are typically more positive sounding. So, what we'll do is we'll look at the notes that's in the E minor scale. Now, if you can see here, it says the notes are E, F sharp, G, A, B, C, and D. So yeah, it's pretty much all the normal notes except it's the F sharp, not the normal F. Now, what does that mean? So if we go back to FL Studio and look at the piano roll, this is F. Press F to pay respects, fellas. So this is F, this is F sharp. If you look at the top left, it also says there that it's F sharp on the octave 4. This is also a G flat. So if this is G, this is a G flat. Alright? So in the E minor scales, we have these notes. The E, the F sharp, the G, the A, the B, the C, the D, and then we repeat back to the E note again. So these are the notes in the E minor scale. These are the notes that we can work with. Now let's make a bass line out of these notes. I'm gonna tend to work with the fourth octave, so from here to here. All right. Let's start with E. So this is the part where it gets creative. This is where you unleash your creativity, which I don't have, but I tend to just experiment. Like, if I can make a song in 20 minutes, sometimes 15 minutes of that is spent making the bass line only. So it works like that. Sometimes I'll be only working on the percussions for like 15 minutes while the other stuff is done in 5 minutes. So it depends from song to song and how you're feeling that day. So let's go with E, E, F, G, G, F. But wait, we can't use F. So we need to take this to F sharp. Now let's see how that sounds. Yeah, that's a little fast. I think that's a little fast. So what I'll do is I'll go up. So the default tempo of FL Studio project is 130. If I'm making a combat music, like the combat tracks in my ABM volumes, I tend to keep it around 120 or 110. But I'll hold this and I'll take this down to 90 or 93, I guess. My usual music is around 90 to 100. So let's see how this sounds now. So from that bass line, it sounds a little devious. That's how it's sounding. A little sus. A little sussy fussy. A little sus. That's good. I mean, we can work with this, but we need to add on to this because this is too short and too repetitive if we keep using this. So let's do E, E, F sharp, and then G, G, A. Let's see how this sounds. Yeah, there you go. When you keep doing this, now trust me, again, I don't know music theory that much. I only learned what I saw in tutorials on YouTube, but over time you'll get the hang of it naturally. Like, the human mind is just built like that, where you start to comprehend music composition easily. So if you see, even in the notes, it's represented like how it starts from a low note, it goes a little high, then low, then it again starts from a low note. Ah, shit. Then it again starts from a low note, and then it ends with a high note. So that creates a little bit of a dynamic where it's going low to low, then low to high. Okay, let's talk about the arrangement window now. Let's close this piano roll. Now, if we click on this, this will switch from the pattern playback to song playback. You can see now that the cursors, this green cursor is here. And so this is pattern 1, as it says here. This is pattern 1. I'll click on it and I'll just drag this. Now this block right here is 1 bar. So this is 2 bar, 3 bar, and 4 bar. So our arrangement is 2 bar long, and if we add it 2 times, it's now 4 bars. Hopefully that's not too confusing. So if we play this now, it's gonna play the arrangement playback. Alright, we got that going on. Let's add a little bit of let's add drums. Let's add drums to this. I usually use sound packs that I found online, like this old school drum kit. I have no idea where I got this from, but you can find them on Google. What I'll do is I'll work with the stock drums that I also used in the past. So I'll go into packs, drums, kicks. I'll use a 808 kick. I tend to use that for bassy songs, and I'll use FPC1. All right, now we gotta get ourselves some snares. If we go into snares, I'll take FPC snare 1. That's a good one. I use that a lot, and FPC 8 because it sounds similar. All right, now all we need are hats. All right, there we go. Okay, now what I'll do is I'll create a very basic pattern. I don't know what you call. I know there's a name for this pattern, but I don't know what it is. Okay, so in pattern 2, I just dragged this up, and I created pattern 2. Now in pattern 2, I added the kicks and the snares, and I'll add that to the arrangement. Now if I hit play, okay, that's fine. That's okay for a basic song. Now let's add the other kick, because I only added 1 kick and 1 snare, but we have 4 in our pattern maker, or whatever this is called. So I'll also add the snare. So if it sounds too blown out or weird, don't worry about it, we'll mix it later. The last thing I'm gonna add is in pattern 3. What I tend to do is I tend to add hi-hats separately. So what I'll do is I'll just fill the whole line, I'll add this in, and then I mean, you could do that. I don't do that. What I typically do is go back into hi-hats. I'll add it again for the second time, and what I'll do is I'll remove all this and I'll create this zigzag or up and down pattern, and I'll show you what this does. Even if we play it now, it's gonna sound the same as before. There's no difference. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna turn the volume of the first one down to 50. There we go. On the top left, you can see the percentage, 50%. And for the second one, I'm gonna turn it down to 60. All right, we turn down the volume. Now we're gonna do channel panning. I'm gonna put this to the left channel so it comes out of our left speaker, and I'm gonna put this to my right. Now if I play this, a little bit of a dynamic, but I can mess with the volume a little. I'll turn them down even more because prominent hi-hats are kind of distracting. Okay, that's good. Okay, now let's talk about effects. Remember in the beginning I told you about these mixer. These are the mixer channels, like insert 1, insert 2, insert 3. So if you see here it says 1, that means this synth, this bass synth, is mapped to insert 1. So whatever I do here is gonna affect the bass. We're not gonna mess with that for now. 808 is on insert 2, FPC1 is on insert 3. What we gotta do here, or what I do, is put the kicks on the same inserts, put the snares on the same inserts, in this case 3, and put the hi-hats on a same insert, so that's 4. Now if I hit play, you can see that each of these are are lighting up as they play in the song. If I right click on these little green icons, it's gonna solo that out, only play that sound. I'm gonna hit right click again, it's back to normal. Okay, what I gotta do now is spice up the hi-hats. So how I do that is I click on the insert that has the hi-hats mapped to them. Again, that's 4 in our example. I'm gonna go to slot 1 and I'm gonna add in a phaser. Alright, we got a phaser in. What I do, I don't mess around with the settings a lot. 50% of the time I just use presets. I go to presets and I use stereo enhance 1. Now if I hit play, that's sort of like that Half-Life feeling type of hi-hats that Kelly Bailey kind of used, and I think Chris Jensen also used, so that's something that I use a lot in most of my tracks. Alright, so we got a very, very basic song, but we need to make this better. I'll add another pattern, I'll add another synth. Let's add in GMS. Let's add in a pad. A pad is like those soft sounding strings or these kind of things. So yeah, let's add in Diablo. I don't use this one a lot, but let's try it out. I'm gonna add this empty pattern to the arrangement window on track 4. I'll right click on GMS, piano roll, and now let's add in something. For pads, those soft sounds, what I do is I tend to play them for longer durations. So in this case, I'll go E4 and for the whole bar. And I'm gonna go G4 for the whole bar, maybe an F sharp, maybe a D4. Now let's see how this sounds. If I hit spacebar, okay, so this will happen a lot. I like how this sounds, but I don't like how the bass is not mixing up with it. So we gotta do something about our bass. Let's remove a bunch of notes. Let's remove this E4, G4, again E4 and G4. Let's see how this sounds now. I think some of you might yell at me, but I think this sounds a little better. So yeah, yes, let's use that for now. Okay, let's add another synth. Let's add GMS again, and I'm gonna use something that I use a lot in some of my tracks, and that's called Midnight 1 and Midnight 2 as well sometimes. They both sound good. Yeah. So let's try. Yeah, there we go. So it sounds different because let's add another pattern, because I'm now at the 5th octave rather than the 4th one. The 4th octave is kind of thick. The 5th octave is kind of thin. I also do this thing where I just play 2-3 notes from my keyboard. Like I'm pressing Y, I, O. And that sounds good. Now I'm gonna click on that. So I'm gonna try to replicate with my mouse what I played through my keyboard. I know there's another method to do this with the record function, but I'd rather use a MIDI controller to do that rather than my keyboard. So it's A5, C6, and D6. Let's see how this sounds. Let's add it to our arrangement. Okay, I kind of feel something. Let's just add in some notes. So remember, we can add all the notes except for F. So let's do A, C, D, E. Then again do, I don't know, C, E, A, C, D. Let's see how this sounds. Huh. So what happened right now is that when I listened to this, I kind of imagined how this would go ahead, how I would end this. So I know there's a note missing here. So because of the delay and the echo in this synth, we can leave all this and just start from here again. Let's go A, E, D, C, D, and let's take it down and G, and then again E. Oh, sorry, that's D. Let's do A5 again. So yeah, that's the way this part ends. It's kind of weird because it leaves you hanging. That's not what we want to do. We need to have a sort of conclusion to our compositions. We need to have some sort of, ending to our melodies. So what I'll do is, remember in the beginning, remember earlier where I talked about how they start from a low note, high, low, high. Let's end this on a high note. Let's go again back to G, and then B. We didn't use a B before. A, C, D, and E. Let's see how this sounds. There you go. It's not perfect, but it sounds good. Now what I notice is that my drums are shit. We need to fix this. So let's head back to pattern mode, hit play. This pattern works in certain situations, but in this one it's not. So we need to figure out a new pattern. What we kind of can do is just try out different patterns. That's too stiff. Let's try. Yeah, something like that. Alright, that sounds good. Let's try this with the whole song. Huh, that's good. Alright, so we now got our song. But here's the thing. These 3 tracks, let's listen to them. I'll right click to solo it out. That turns off the other ones. I'll turn on the bass, the drums, the hi-hats. This is our rhythm. So the rhythm part is something that plays throughout the song. It basically, like the word itself, it keeps the rhythm of the song going. You can have a few more tracks along with the bass. Maybe you can have another synth that's very quiet in the background, but you can faintly hear it, and you can have that as a rhythm. These 2 are the lead synths. But the problem is, even if we arrange this whole song into a proper song, we just have these 2 leads. I'll color them so we can differentiate between them. Rhythm, lead. What we need to do is we need to add in more lead parts. So let's add in 2 more lead compositions. I'll turn these 2 off for now, and I'll go to pattern 6 because that's the empty one. I'll add in another synth. Let's add in, what do we add in? Let's add in Citrus. Citrus has some good ARPs. Now what are ARPs? ARPs are like these repeating, like they go all over the place. They have a certain rhythm to them, and sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. What I tend to use sometimes a lot is, where is it? Okay, I don't remember. Oh, it was the Cyber ARP, I think. Let's try that out. So if you want to get an idea of how it'll go, just hit play on your song and then press a key on your keyboard or keep holding it, and you'll have an idea of how it sounds. So I'll play the song, and then I'll press a key on my keyboard so I can hear how this ARP sounds. Okay, I'm gonna press the key now. No, it does not match at all. Let's try Acid 3. Oh yeah, I love this one. Okay, we can't use this one either because I don't think it matches. Well, let's not use an ARP, I guess. Let's use... The thing with all these options is that, the choice. You can't make a choice on what to use, so you have to try out a lot of things before you figure out what you want to add in your song. Let's see what we got in Plucked. Smooth. Oh, that kind of sounds good. Yeah, that kind might work. Yeah, not on the lower pitch, a higher pitch. Let's try on the lower pitch. Okay, we got pattern 6, the empty one. Let's add it in here. I'll turn it on, and let's go to piano roll. So let's try this. E, G, C, D. They're just random notes of the E minor scale. Yeah, these two don't work. Let's try A and F sharp. What we can do is we can move this to the 4th bar, and we can do E, G, A, yeah, and B at the end. Again, do that. Let's do again. And let's end it on an F sharp. Let's see how all of this sounds. Okay, sort of what I wanted, but not really. Let's take this back down to... Let's try the E note again. I'm gonna click on 1 here, so it starts from the beginning. Yeah, I think it works. Again, I would spend a little more time than what I'm doing right now on refining the compositions, but this is typically how I come up with it. So we got our first composition of the second lead. Remember, these were the first leads. Now we're gonna add in another synth for the second lead. Let's go with Flex. Flex is good, but I don't know why Flex crashes a lot. It crashes the whole software. Let's go with GMS, or let's go with Toxic Biohazard. This is a good one. Let's try another lead. No, that's weird. Cream. Let's see how this sounds. Let's try to mash it in. I'll enter an empty pattern. Open the piano roll. Where do we start from? Yeah, that's weird. Okay. Let's go with a piano, a keyboard. I absolutely adore this Mystery Keys keyboard because all of my earlier ABM tracks use this synth. So it sounds a little quiet. Let's turn up the drive. Okay, now I have an idea of what I have to do, but it'll take some trial and error. Okay, now let's see. This is all random, right? You know I just clicked on these notes out of nowhere, but I'm just experimenting again, trial and error. I like this. I like the sound, but I don't like this smooth, whatever this was. So I need to change this. I need to change this to something else. Let's try, I don't know. Let's go to pads. Let's try crystal. It's a good pad, but I'm still gonna use something else. Let's try euphoric. Oh shit, that's weird. Huh. Let's instead go with something else. Let's try morphine. Morphine's a good one. String. Yeah, that's weird. I wouldn't typically use two similar sounding synths together like this, but it just works. Alright, now we got our second lead in as well. Okay, so we have all the building blocks we needed. Now what we'll do is, let's separate this like this. I'm gonna add on these to the next 4 bars, like so. Now I'm gonna hold right click and I'm just gonna select this part. Now what we're about to do is do the mixing. Before we do the arrangement, I like to do the mixing first. Usually I see the practice is that you do the mixing at the very end. I sometimes do that, sometimes I mix earlier. But let's try that now. So we have some of our tracks or instruments mapped to the mixer, but not these ones. So let's do that. Let's map this to 5, let's map this to 6, 7, and 8. 7 and 8 are these two. So if I hit play, you see I mapped these to 5 and 6. Now 5 and 6 are now lighting up. Now what I'll do is I'll start from the first insert, the first channel, and that's the bass. So here's the thing. Your sound should be touching the 3 number, not going above it. If it goes above 0 or touching 0, it's peaking. That's not good quality. So let's do something about this. Let's add something to the bass. In slot 1, I'm gonna go to parametric EQ2. So this is the bassy parts, this is the sharp parts. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just turn it down a little bit. And I'm gonna turn up this part. Alright? Not much of a difference, but still, it makes me sleep soundly at night. Then I'm gonna add a little bit of a reverb. This is too much. I'm gonna go to preset, small studio. I'm gonna mess with these 3. Yeah, I'm gonna keep this up. Again, trial and error, trial and error, trial and error. That's how you figure stuff out. Okay, ER doesn't seem to do anything. Dry is like the dry sound is what the actual sound is. Let's do that. If I hold click on this and drag it up, it's gonna increase the size of it. Alright. Now the problem on my end is that I don't have good speakers. I have these tiny Logitech speakers which don't have good sound. So most of my music is done on chance. I just take a chance, take a risk, and hope it doesn't sound bad on other speakers. Alright, let's go to channel 2, which are the kicks. They sound good, a little sharp for my taste. Let's go to 5 and drag this down. Let's even drag a little bit of the bass down as well. See how the sound changes as I do this? Now it's really tiny. Let's keep it at 4. Alright, we're good on that. Let's go to 3. I always use reverb on snares. I don't know why. I just like it. And I keep it at default most of the time. Wait, what? It sounds different now. Let's take up the wet. Turn down the dry. And turn down the size. Something like that. Again, and here's the thing, let me give you a good advice. Never finalize your work on the first try. If it's a music track, if it's a mod, if it's a map, whatever you're working on, what you should be doing, and what I try to do is, when I'm at this stage, I save it and I close it and I just do something else. And then I come back to it like hours later with a fresh mind and then start working on it again. And that always improves my compositions. So, okay, I added in a parametric EQ2 to the snare. Actually, I'll turn up the bass side and turn down the treble side. So far, we mixed up the bass, the kicks, and the snares, and this is how it sounds. Okay, for the most part, it's fine. Now let's go to insert 4. Now, insert 4 are the hi-hats. They sound good as it is, but I'll turn down the volume just a little, so they're not too much in your face. Insert 5 is the pad, that Diablo pad we used. It's good. That's good. Pads are supposed to be soft and not too loud. Insert 6. You can see their volumes are matching. They're almost at the same level. The bell or this piano is a little bit above the pad. So I'll turn it up just a little bit. Okay, now we got the mixing done for this part. Now I'm gonna double click here and then right click, hold, and drag it out. Now let's look at 7 and 8. Those are these two. I'm gonna mute 8 for now. that sounds good. Again, this sounds good for now. I would tweak it up a little, maybe EQ it, add a compressor or something, but for this example, I think it's fine. Okay. What I'll do now is, now we'll do the arrangements, the actual, sound, how it sounds. So what I'll do is I'm gonna press Control A and drag it out, I guess up to here. Usually I use 4 bars or 8 bars for the intro. So how do we start this? Let's start it out with the let's try the bass first. Okay, that's good, but it's too long, so we need to spice it up a little. Let's add in the hi-hats early. Yeah, that's good. Now, okay, here's another issue I sometimes face. It starts too immediately, like there's no build-up. Let's add in this pad in the beginning as well. Let's see how that sounds. Okay, that sort of sounds fine. It's sounding weird right now because we only have one other synth going along with this pad, so that's why it sounds a little incomplete. Another technique I kind of use is doing this break or drop technique, as I like to call it. I'll drag this back and I'll drag this back as well, so we just have the bass playing on these 2 bars. Okay, that's good. Let's duplicate this. And right click, hold, press and hold shift, drag it out. So okay, let's do this break technique over here. How it sounds right now. Yeah, let's drag the bass back, the drums back, and the hi-hats back, and let's just leave the synths in. Yeah, that's a much better example of using this drop thing. What you can also do is mix up the synths if they can. So if I duplicate this again, what I'll do is I'll drag this back and I'll drag this one forward, mix and match. Let's see how this sounds. Doesn't match for now. Usually in my tracks it does, because I do this a lot, where I have a bunch of compositions and I mix and match them to make a song. But in this example it doesn't. But yeah, what I would typically do is I would arrange the track like this. I would have other synths going on down here, maybe some effects, something like that, and I would end it, I don't know, I would end it with one of the synths like this. So yeah, we kind of made a song. Now at this point I would just not actually save. Actually, what I'll do is I'll play the whole song and click on the master channel, because that, whatever you do on the master channel, it affects all the channels next to it. So usually what the experts do is use compressors on these channels. What I do to save time is just go to the master channel and add in either a compressor, a limiter, or a multiband compressor. For now, I'll add in a compressor. Let's take the threshold to about 4.5, ratio to 5 as well. Gain, no, lower the attack to 0, release 0. What this will do is that there are some, even if there's some minor peaking in your track, this will try to keep it, controlled, not peak it. Basically, it just makes the track sound good. And if I'm making or trying to make an epic song or an ambient song, what I try to do is use a stereo enhancer. And I keep the preset on subtle. It sort of widens out the sound of the track. Alright, so at this point, I would just save the track and use it in my video or upload it to YouTube or Spotify and everywhere. Again, it wouldn't be this simple. This was just to give you an idea of how I work with my music. So yeah, hopefully this was helpful to you and kind of explained how I make music. So yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.